Hey guys, this is Shelby with the Rogers Public Library. So this week for Full Steam Ahead, I want to talk to you guys about ice cream, right? So this is a bit of a follow-up to last week's video where we talked about fridges and refrigeration. So ice cream is basically just a couple different ingredients, right? It's milk and cream and sugar and then usually flavoring like vanilla extract or chocolate or strawberries or other fruit like that, right? So basically, right, so you basically just get these couple ingredients and you mix it all together, and that's the easy part, right? The hard part is making it taste good, right? Because if you think about it, you think about ice, when you freeze it, you get this really like hard, coarse substance, right? And that's not how you want your ice cream to taste. So if you just mix everything together and put it in a bag and put it in the freezer, it's going to be a big block of milk, and it won't taste very good at all. And so what you have to do to make your ice cream taste good is you have to shake it up and stir it while it's freezing, right? And what that does is it changes the way that it freezes, right? So if you just let the milk freeze or the ice cream freeze by itself, you get really, really big water crystals, right? And because they're really big, they're really coarse, and they don't taste very good, or they're tough to eat, right? Kind of like chewing on ice. So what shaking the ice cream up does is it makes the milk still freezes, but instead of freezing as really big chunks of ice, it freezes as really tiny, really fine crystals, and those taste good to eat, right? They're delicious. And we just need to add flavoring, right? I'm doing vanilla because I like vanilla, and it's easy to use. That might have been a little too much, but it'll be okay, right? So as you see, I'm zipping the bag up, right? I'm leaving air in there, and that's really important because not only does mixing up the ice cream make it the ice crystal smaller as it freezes, it also introduces air into the mixture, right? So instead of just getting a solid or like a milk, just like a mixture of milk, right? There's little air bubbles in it, and that makes it creamy and it makes it taste a lot better, right? So what we're gonna put this in this bag, but first we have to add a secret ingredient, which is ice, right? So the ice doesn't actually go in the ice cream; it goes on the ice. And what that does is it actually lowers the melting temperature of water. And so it creates an endothermic reaction, and it cools the ice down just a little bit more. And that helps the ice cream freeze faster. Okay. Kind of make a little pocket, right? Just so that it's surrounded by the ice cream, or surrounded by ice a little bit better. Okay. So back into or up until like the 1840s, this was basically the only way that you can make ice cream, right? And then what happened in 1841 is someone invented like a hand-powered ice cream machine, right? So you can crank the ice cream, and it's surrounded by ice, and so it freezes that way, and it's a lot easier to do than just kind of shaking it or stirring it up with a spoon. Uh-oh. Looks like the bag came with it. Okay. Well, that's all right. If you look at it now, as you can see, or if you look up close, you can see little air bubbles in there, right? Because that's the milk kind of, or air getting trapped in the milk, and it's starting to create a foam like I talked about earlier. Right, it actually does take a while. You'll need to shake it up for like 5 or 10 minutes before it gets sufficiently frozen to eat. Right, and this is what the finished product looks like, right? This is some ice cream that I made the other day. It wasn't 100% frozen when I stuck it in the freezer. It was kind of, I guess you say chunky, right? But it tastes good. And the other thing that you might notice is that earlier I said that ice cream has cream in it, whereas we're just using milk, right? So this isn't technically ice cream, but it basically is. It's actually technically called iced milk, right? Or right, kind of like how there's a difference between ice cream and frozen yogurt, frozen custard, right? Because they have different ingredients, even though they taste really similar to each other. So I'm gonna get back to shaking this in a minute, but first I want to show you guys the craft activity that you can pick up here, and it's just puffy paint. So what you'll need for this, and we're gonna have crash packets for you to pick up, is liquid dish detergent. Add 2 spoonfuls. We're gonna add 2 spoonfuls of glue, right? This is a tablespoon. It doesn't actually matter the exact measurements as long as you get the ratios right. So that now we're adding 1 and 2 tablespoons of glue. Okay, and we're going to add a little bit of food coloring. Probably too much. And then we're going to add a little bit of water. Just 1 spoonful of water, right? What the water does is it makes it easier for bubbles to form in our puffy paint. But if we add too much, then it gets watery and it doesn't dry super well. So now what I'm doing is I'm mixing this all up with a paintbrush. And it looks like toothpaste, right? You got to mix it up a lot, right? Because as opposed to the types of puffy paint that you make with like shaving cream, there's not actually bubbles into it to begin with, right? So kind of like with our ice cream, we have to mix it up so that a lot of air gets trapped in it and we get a nice foam, right? And then, right, our finished ice cream comes out a lot better. So here we go. Here's our canvas. Here's our paint, right? Draw. You say this is blue raspberry ice cream, right? So I'm going to make it kind of ice cream scoop shape. And we can spread it around like this. Really thick, nice scoop. And then we have an ice cream cone. Put some glue on the back of this. Right. And ta-da. Right, so here's our blue raspberry ice cream. Looks pretty cool, right? And this is what the paint looks like when it's dry, right? So it's not super puffy, but you can definitely see like it has a texture, and it has these nice bubble pockets in it. Yeah, so like I said, you can pick this up here at the library anytime this week, but unfortunately you'll have to make ice cream on your own. So that's what I have for you guys this time. I hope you had fun and you learned something, and I'll see you next time.